Welcome to Techstination. Joining us are Samuel Greene, a product specialist, and Erich Barto, Director of Marketing at Zoom. Thank you for joining us, Samuel and Erich.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Erich, I'll let you start off first. Give us a little background for folks who aren't familiar with the company. Tell us some background about Zoom.
Sure. So Zoom Corporation is a Tokyo, Japan-based company who started in the early 80s. And basically, the company started with mainly guitar effects processors and became, pretty sought-after units early on, including the 9002 and the 505 pedal a couple years later. So that's how the company kind of had got started. So our roots are definitely planted in the musician side of our business. And then from there, the handheld recorders hit with the first H4 and then the H2, H4n, et cetera. And that was the first time the company started to serve customers in the film and sound design side of the creative process. So the company is really good in that sense that we still have our musician roots, and a lot of our products are passionately used by musicians. But now we make tools specifically for and embraced by the filmmaking community, which puts us in a really good spot to support creators of all types.
And a little disclosure, as a radio journalist over the years, I've used your products as well, going back quite a ways, and always have been impressed. So now you've got some new things arriving on the market that really expand your capabilities. Samuel, I'll let you get into, first of all, you've got a new recorder designed for, I guess, VR type recording. Tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, so we recently, actually just last week, started shipping our new H3 VR. Now, to record audio for VR for 360 videos, these are VR headsets are becoming more popular. We're all seeing more 360-degree videos on Facebook and YouTube. And to capture the video, it's pretty simple. You need a 360-degree camera. But to do the audio, you can't use a standard recorder. You can't use standard stereo. You need to be able to create a 360-degree sound field. And so to do that, the standard is to use what's called ambisonics. And so that is, at its most basic, a 4-channel audio feed captured with 4 microphones and decoded from those 4 microphones to create a 360-degree sound field. So previous to us releasing this unit, it was pretty difficult to record this audio. It required a fairly expensive microphone, at least $1,000, an audio recorder to plug it into that had some specialized features. So it was an expensive process, and it was a difficult process because it took some processing on your computer after you recorded as well. We've now kind of boiled that down into one package. So the H3 VR has your ambisonics 4-channel microphone built right on top, has the recorder, put in an SD card, you power with batteries, and so it can capture those 4 channels of audio and encode it into the proper 360-degree sound field necessary to then combine that with either a 360-degree video, or if you're creating other VR experiences, to mix in with that. So it's previously been a fairly difficult process and pretty expensive, but we've been able to design this recorder to kind of give that recording ability to the masses at a really great price.
And tell us about that physical design, because what you've packed into something that appears to be not terribly big is pretty amazing.
Yeah, and you get it in your hand. It's less than 6 inches tall, and the actual physical design of it was very important, because if you're picking up sound from every direction, that needs to be clean audio. So if you look at a picture of this unit, it's a cone design, and that's so that reflections of audio are not bounced off the recorder back into the microphones, which is very important. And then it has those 4 microphones built on top. It's called a tetrahedral arrangement. And so you have a front up, front down, back up, back down. And using those 4 capsules, we can decode from what's called ambisonics A, which is the raw data, to ambisonics B, which is a combination of those capsules that allows it so that when you put on your VR headset or when you're on Facebook and you click and you drag on the 360 video, the video moves, but the audio should move as well.
Really cool stuff. Tell us, you mentioned availability is now. What about pricing?
Yeah, so in stores now for $349.99.
Very cool. And it records either to an SD card or you do have output as well, right?
So there is a stereo output if you were using it with the camera. But yeah, most people record to an SD card. But it actually, Ambisonics is a very versatile sound capture format. So you can take your 4-channel Ambisonics and you could decode that into stereo binaural. And binaural is a stereo file that tries to replicate the way that a human hears. So if you think about, your standard XY mics you find on top of most of our handheld recorders, the mic capsules are very close to each other. That's not really how our ears are designed. So binaural capture, if you use a binaural microphone, is actually you take a mock head and you put 2 microphones where the ears would be. Using Ambisonics, we can create that same feed using our 4 microphones so that you get the sense of spatiality of the location of sounds within a stereo field much more than you do with standard stereo. So that's another cool way you could use this unit, and another way if you were doing 2D video rather than 360 video, that you can use this unit. You could also use it for live streaming, and you look out there and there's a lot of people live streaming 360 degrees, and this unit is able to do that.
Now you're also getting into, you've been, I think, into it before, but further into video capture. Erich, I'll let you tell us a little bit about the strategy here.
We started making cameras back around 2009 was the first one with our Q3. And the concept there was to provide a small form factor camera that specifically, suited for musicians, because what was happening around that time is a lot of the action style cameras were beginning to rise in popularity back then, the GoPro, the Contour, Sony Action Cam, things of that nature. And they were really good cameras, but they didn't have very good sound. So musicians were using these things on stage because of their size and the fact that they can mount them in fun places like a guitar headstock or a drum set, but the sound just wasn't there. So that's what kind of propelled us into that in the first place with the original Q3. It sounded incredible compared to the small form factor cameras that are out there. So from there, the line, the Q series, if you will, kind of evolved from there. First with the Q3 HD, which is simply a high definition version of the original. And then we came out with something called the Q8, which is a hybrid device, if you think of it. It's a video camera, but it also has XLR 1/4-inch combo inputs in it. So it's like a 4-track audio recorder with a camera built in, if that makes sense. And that, we saw that particular unit be used, again, beyond musicians, filmmakers, podcasters, journalists, because of its size and its versatility and the quality of sound. So fast forward to now, our last 2 offerings were the Q2, which was very successful and again, very, very small form factor. It's designed for musicians to be able to set it up and just hit record and go. And it sounds amazing and it's easy to use and all that kind of stuff. So the newest one that we're offering is now called the Q2 and 4K, which is another step up in the evolution here, and it's a 4K resolution camera in that small form factor that I mentioned that just runs on normal, AA batteries, records from an SD card. There's no menu diving, no complicated, systems to go through. There's different scene settings for different lighting conditions that are geared for musicians, such as settings like jazz club or dance club, etc. And, we're really excited about it because it provides musicians with a very affordable yet very high quality solution to capturing video, either for YouTube or for their own personal rehearsals, for students, for teachers, anything like that.
And when you talk about video in a music setting, it can be tricky, can't it? Because the lighting conditions are often dim or colored lights. It can get pretty funky. So tell us how you cope with that.
Yes, it's a big challenge for any camera manufacturer really. But what we've done is we've the Zoom engineering team has done an incredible job studying these things and adjusting the sensor. Now, fortunately, in this day and age, everything's digital, so it's not so much that the aperture has to open and close to allow different amounts of lights in and adjust the white balance and all that kind of stuff. It's all done digitally, so we are able to make almost a snapshot of lighting, such as, say, concert lighting, and apply that digitally to the camera so that it sets all those things automatically for you, giving you the best possible picture in that setting. Now, the other thing the camera utilizes is an auto setting mode, which dynamically changes. So, for example, if you're filming on stage and you have all these blue lights, and then there's a part of the set where everything turns to red or goes dark, the camera's not going to stay in that one mode that you set it in. The auto mode will adjust according to the different, changing lighting conditions. So it's not a perfect science, but, I think the camera gives the user the ability to find, the groove in which to get the best possible picture. It doesn't give you A or B. It gives you 12 different options to choose from. So, for a camera that size and that price point, you have a lot of flexibility in terms of setting it up so where it's going to work optimal for you.
And there's one more feature of this camera that makes it really perfect for recording a concert, and that's the angle of the lens. So this new camera has a 150-degree lens. And, some people aren't a fan of the almost fisheye effect you get on the edges. It's not quite as wide as a real fisheye. But the good thing about it is that you can have the camera mounted right in front of the stage and get the bassist all the way to the right and the guitarist all the way to the left. Most cameras you need to mount, a few feet back, sometimes even 10 feet back from the stage. And it's just not as good of a shot as you'll get. You have that whole crowd in front of the camera and such. So having that wider angle lens really opens up a lot of possibilities for mounting that camera right in front of the stage and getting the best shot.
Tell us about pricing and availability.
So this camera is going to be $199.99, and we expect the first ones to be coming out into the market in a couple weeks. So we'll say end of November.
And that's a pretty affordable price for a high quality 4K camera. So you've paid some attention to pricing here and trying to be very competitive.
Absolutely, and we want creators everywhere to be able to get this camera. And the added benefit of that price point is you can easily have multiple cameras and do multicam setups. So by yourself with 3 cameras, set one up in front of the stage, one on the drummer's rig, maybe one on a guitar headstock or on a mic stand in front of the singer. And you can get 3 great shots, all with good usable audio, so you can kind of pick what audio you want to use, and then combine those 3 into a live video.
Sounds terrific. And I want to get into this just a little bit because you make so many different types of equipment for different scenarios. You've had some great recording equipment, microphones that have plugged into iPhones and iPads and such. I'll let you tell us a little bit about that. But then I guess Apple throws a little bit of a curveball by going to a USB-C plug. Tell us how you're coping with that.
The challenge with making devices for mobile devices, whether it's iPhone or Android, is that, as you well know, the technology changes. If you think about, it wasn't that long ago that we were all carrying flip phones, and now we have, computers in the full sense of the word in our pockets, and DSLR cameras and 4K video cameras all in our pocket. So the landscape there changes so rapidly that anybody that's making a peripheral device for a mobile handset faces a lot of challenges. So that being said, it's the old adage, the best camera you have is the one you always have with you. So we kind of applied that to audio, which is why we made first the IQ5 and now the IQ6 and IQ7, because your phone is the thing you always have with you. So for journalists or musicians or even folks who are shooting videos from their phone, to have a high quality audio solution that can plug right into the phone is super convenient and really transforms your device into something much more. So that's kind of the mindset in which we decided to make devices like that. The reason that they're only iPhone is because the Android ecosystem, if you will, is very fragmented in terms of software and hardware connection types. Hopefully in the future, everybody goes USB-C, because that'll just make the user's life easier and manufacturers that want to make accessories life easier. So Apple, switching from a 30-pin to Lightning and now USB-C, it's nothing new. It's just another engineering milestone or progression, if you will. So we'll see in the future if we have anything planned down the line, and we'll see if the new phones are going to have the USB-C, which I have a suspicion they will. But, it's a very interesting market to play in, because everybody has a phone, and, it's one of those things that you can provide a great amount of accessories to transform that phone, because you always have it with you. So it's an exciting thing to play in, but, sometimes it could be a little bit of a minefield navigating the different requirements and operating systems and hardware connections. But I don't think by any means that we're discouraged by Apple's decision to change connectors or anything of the sort. I think our engineering team is probably already knew that and is already considering that for future products.
Probably hard at work as we speak on it. So for more info on your full lineup, which is really, as we said, very broad, where do folks go?
Sure. So they can find us. Best place to start is our website, which is www.zoom-na.com. There's links to our Facebook page, which we are very active on, our YouTube, which we're very active on, Instagram, etc. But the website is the best place to start to get all the nitty-gritty product details.
Great stuff. Samuel Greene and Erich Barto, thank you for taking the time with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now this. How many companies out there have continued to innovate when it comes to building a better radio? I'm Fred Fishkin, host of Techstination, and I'm here to tell you about the new CC Skywave SSB radio from the wonderful people at Crane. Bob and his crew really love radio, and it shows in this new compact model that is packed with features. Beyond great AM and FM reception and sound, you can tune into shortwave signals from around the world, listen to ham radio operators, aviation, and more. It's the radio you'll turn to every day, and in emergencies. It will run for nearly 3 days on just 2 AA batteries. Pair the sleep timer with the new Soft Speaker 3, and you've got the perfect radio for your nightstand. Of course, it can wake you up too. Click on Crane at Techstination.com and put in the code Techstination for a free flashlight with your order. They love radio, and you'll love Crane.